Test 1, 2.
Sega. Welcome to episode 105 of Retrotopia. My name is Brian, and I'm going to be your host for this week's show. And this week, we're going to the Megasys and jumping into the pages of Comix Zone. Now, if you're just here for the game chat, head about 20-25 minutes down the road and you should find it, but we really do hope you stay because we do like to have fun with these intros. Before we start, I do have to get the plugs out of the way, so if you are listening to this on your podcasting service, please rate it 5 stars. It really does help us be found by the algorithm, and it gets us out there and helps us grow. Also, if you want to join our social media, you can do so at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. You'll find it all there, including a link to our Discord, where we got a nice little community growing there, and we get into some passionate conversations. Also, we do have a merch store. If you head to retrotopia.dashery.com or you use the link in the description of this podcast, you can find our merch store, and we do have a few designs there. They can be put on shirts, hats, and stuff like that. It's really great. We're working on more, and hopefully we can get some new designs up soon. We also have a Patreon if you want to support us that way, and it is free to join. And by joining for free, you can take part in our polls. You can chat with the host. You can write about the game of the week. You can write to the host in the 9-bit banter box. We also give you Quick Play, a short review series where we take a game that's probably too short for a full episode, and one of us will do a review on it. And you get Retro Bites 15 days early, and we slide in an extra topic for the Patreons. And now it features more Joe. You can also join the Hero tier and get all of the stuff above, as well as you can select a game for a host or review on Quick Play. You get the 4th show, New Game Plus, which is basically the MasterCard of what we do, because for everything else there's New Game Plus. And you'll get a shout out at the end of the episode, or right here if we had any new Patreons, which we do not this week, but that's fine. We love the ones we have, and we hope that you get more in the future. Thank you very much. Now that the plugs are out of the way, it is time that we give you, the Patreons, the audience, a chance to write into the host on what we call the 9-bit banter box, which is very culturally elegant. First up, we have Guy Who Does Things, who says, "Hello, Brian. With your vast knowledge of video gaming and well-known precognition, please tell us what you think will be the next big thing in video gaming." Okay, well, let's answer this question. I think gaming is probably going to stay this course until some sort of new technology takes over the world. And I'm not talking about the VR glasses that are coming out. I mean something that changes the game. Free-to-play subscription services, they're going to become the norm. I think that's the biggest change we're going to see, and I think it's because the big three are kind of moving away from physical games, which, brings the old question if, buying isn't owning, pirating isn't stealing kind of idea, but it is where we are. Convenience of streaming services can't be denied, but at the same time, when they rip things away from us, that's where people get a little bit upset. I think this is probably going to enrage us all for a while, but like always, movies, TVs, or big changes like that. Like I remember TV, well, I don't remember, I wasn't born at that time, but TV started out with no advertising, and then they started putting ads, which really ticked people off, and then it just became the norm, and now we accept it as a norm, and the same thing starting to happen with streaming services. So I have heard rumors of Microsoft wanting to add an ad tier on their Game Pass service, which quite honestly would be hilarious to me in a way, but I don't see it working. I don't see somebody playing a game and right in the middle of a boss fight an ad for Dove soap. That wouldn't work. That's where I think we're going. Thanks for the question. Next up, we have McFlurry XD, who says, "Greetings, Mr. Brian. Do you have any devices or methods of gaming you typically use outside of a traditional gaming console or desktop PC? I'm thinking along the same vein as the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally, or a retro gaming handheld like the Linux and Android devices from companies like Miu and Ambernick." That one's a hard one to say. Or do you do any gaming on your phone through emulation and or a controller, something of that nature? As someone who enjoys retro gaming, while the current state of AAA and the big companies definitely leave much to be desired, there are a vast amount of great options and choices for the retro gamer. And most of them are very affordable. Cheers from down here in Freedom Land. Okay, yeah, retro video gaming, I do mostly on my PC if I'm doing like Super Nintendo and stuff like that. I use an 8-bit Do Pro 2 controller to do my gaming. But I have invested in some handheld stuff. One I'm looking at is the Ayaneo, Ayaneo, Pocket DS, which is a dual screen retro console, and I think that would make DS and 3DS games possible finally in a way that makes them functionally playable. I do have an Asus Ally, ROG Ally, which I've hooked up to put a dock on my TV so I can play PC games on my TV when I'm in the mood. Usually that happens when the game is controller heavy. If it's first person where I like playing keyboard and mouse, I'll play on my PC. I did have a Steam Deck, found it too bulky, gave it to my wife. She loves it, so Steam Deck is definitely another option. If I really want to, I can just rip it out of her hands and start that fight. But on my phone, I only play casual games like Hero and The Room, or puzzle games like that, or those switch two blocks and match the colors to make it disappear type games. I don't know what they're called, but like Candy Crush-esque type games. There's one I just do when I'm bored, and it takes about 15 minutes to play through because that's the allotted amount of time to get the rewards. And I've played over 8,000 levels in that just because I don't know why. I just keep going back to it. I've also altered my PS Vita to allow it to run RetroArch. That was actually my first retro handheld console. It's very handy, and it's great for Super Nintendo games or RPGs because it's got good battery life. And it has the SNES style game controller layout. Tablets and stuff like that, I don't play outside of those casual games. I don't play anything big, but I do have Final Fantasy Tactics on my tablet, and that is a fantastic way to play that game. They really did good with the touchscreen controls. Yeah, that's about it. I do recommend anybody who wants to do emulation of older games, get yourself a proper handheld console, because it just changes the game. Take it anywhere with you, pop it out. There you go, you got a video game on the go. Thanks for the question. Next up is Brother Retro, who says, "Hey Duder, first off, although I'm not Canadian, I want to show you respect for serving your country in the Great North. That being said, do you have any funny or exciting military stories you can share with us? I'm not even sure what you did, but I'm sure that you're bound to have a good story or two. Keep on keeping on. First off, I'm sorry you're not Canadian. I have to apologize because I am, but thank you very much. I was an Air Force technician and then a supervisor for Air Force technicians in the military. I ended up mostly in desk jobs, so I don't have a lot of exciting stories. I don't have the war stories that some people come back with. My most exciting story would probably be that a stapler once put 2 staples through a report, and I probably rode that high for a month. It's one of the reasons I left is because there was no excitement in my career, and it was just kind of wearing on me, especially after COVID and things like that. My mental health was going downhill pretty rapidly. I'd say if I do have to pick a story, it's not going to be specific about what I was doing, but it's just going to be the story itself of my trip to Australia during COVID. So I was doing an escort mission for equipment, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And the guy who organized the entire trip, it was multiple trips, but you could only do one. So I got myself put on one, and he had convinced the people who signed the checks that we needed to go first class so that we could isolate ourselves more. And that was amazing. Like, it was $20,000 to fly down there, and it was first class the whole way. And the first leg from Ottawa to Montreal is like a 30-minute flight, so you just kind of got that slightly wider seat, but it wasn't really that great. Then we flew to the other side of the country, and we got the really wide seats, but it was still seats. It was sitting up for 4 hours. You know, it wasn't bad. We got better food. We got metal utensils. It was pretty good. A quick hop over to San Francisco before we got onto the best flight of my life. It was a 787. I remember walking in there, and I looked to the right as I walked into the door, and I saw these seats. I'm like, oh my god, we're about to do like an 8-9 hour flight on these seats. It's like, I thought these things were supposed to have these lay down bed seats in first class. So like, that's what you see on all the influencers YouTube shorts and stuff like that. And the flight steward tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, sir, your seat's this way." And I looked left into this glorious cabin of these full, or like completely flat layable seats with giant TV screens and your own like personal area. And it was, oh my god, it was so amazing. And the food, it was steak. They gave me a goddamn steak on an airplane, and it was a decent steak. Not the greatest I've had, but decent. Only problem, it was COVID, so the champagne bar was closed down and the Sunday bar was not there. I was a little bit disappointed in that, but I had a good conversation with the flight steward, and it was a pretty good flight. It was an amazing flight, I'm not going to lie. After that, we landed in Australia, and we got whisked away by the military to go to a COVID hotel. Now, I brought my PS4 because we were stuck in the COVID hotel for 14 days. And we weren't allowed to leave or interact with anybody outside of the room except for the designated, staff that worked there. So for those 14 days, I hooked my PS4 up and I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I won 100% of that game in 14 days. To the point that's all I did. And you'd think 14 days of nonstop video gaming would be great, but when you're stuck in a room with no open windows, it kind of wears on you and you just wear down. By the end of it, I was just ready to get out of there, and I don't think I touched a video game for about a month after that. Once we did get out, once we got sprung from the Huska, we had 3 days in the Sydney area to explore, so we did some tourism stuff, and at the time, Australia's COVID restrictions were a lot lighter than Canada's. Like, we could walk around the streets without masks, you could go to restaurants, you could go touristy stuff. So we went up to Sydney Harbour, we started there. We got ourselves a couple of beers, we sat down at the harbour by the Sydney Opera House. That was amazing. What a beautiful area that is. Then we, excuse me. Alright, then we, what did we do after that? We went to the Hard Rock Cafe, and then we drove north, which was another fun experience, was driving on the left side of the road. The passenger had to continuously remind the driver not to turn into the wrong lane, as we wanted to do so friggin' often for the first, 2 hours of driving. And we drove north, and we went to this, petting zoo, you'd call it, and they had these wallabies. I think they're called wallabies, the tiny kangaroos. And my buddy's joked the entire time is he wanted to fight a kangaroo, and every picture I got of him is him putting his dukes up to these cute little adorable wallabies, or whatever they're called. I can't remember, but the tiny kangaroos. And yeah, it was adorable. And we had a goat follow us around because we had food in our hand, and the goat wouldn't leave us alone. It was a cute goat. It was a fun time. But then came the job. So we got cleared for COVID, and we got onto the back of a Ukrainian Antonov, and these things are massive. You could throw a football in the back of it and probably not hit the roof. If you don't, if you throw a good spiral. If you throw like me, you're gonna land 2 feet in front of you. But yeah, that was an experience. Now, you go from first class to less than cattle class because, duct tape is a maintenance tool to the Ukrainians. And we were up with the crew in the back, and we didn't have any place to lay down. We just had seats, and it was 3 hops. We had to go to Brisbane, Hawaii, and then back to Canada. And the first hop was just to get into a hotel, so we went to Brisbane. It was I wouldn't say it was fun. We just got shuttled to the hotel, then back. Hawaii, we arrived late at night, so I took a quick power nap, and then I went exploring because we weren't leaving until that evening. And it was beautiful. And I did a little bit of touristy stuff. I grabbed some, t-shirts and sunglasses and stuff like that. And then I'd get into my uniform. And this is probably one of the coolest feelings I've ever had wearing that uniform, is when I was leaving that hotel, Americans were stopping by, shaking my hand, thanking me for my service. And they cleared a path for me, and it was amazing. never seen that back here in Canada. Like, we don't glorify our military that way. And it was awe-inspiring to see how people in uniform are treated down in the United States. So that was fantastic. And then it was back onto the Antonov for the final part of the trip. Yeah, I got home after that. I had some fun souvenirs and things, and it was funny because when the plane landed in Canada, the customs showed up because Ukrainians have to go through customs all the time, and they were annoying the shit out of the customs people because they just wanted to go to their hotel and they didn't care about the customs. So when the customs agent came up to us, and she just goes, "I am finally glad just to talk to somebody who's not Ukrainian," and she just looked at the pile of crap we had and said, "Thank you, guys, go on your way." And it was just, yeah, we walked out, and the only thing I forgot to get was a didgeridoo, which I had promised a friend I would get. I forgot. It was too awe-inspiring. That's my only story in the military, and I know it was a long story. Thanks for holding on for that one. I actually forgot I was recording a podcast, and then I didn't even know why I was talking for a while. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, Brother Retro. Moving on to Blue Yoshi 94. Brian, you are in a juggling contest, and you have to juggle 10 spherical objects. What objects are you choosing? I'm going to take a quick sip of water here. Just to explain the pause. Alright, so I do actually have a list of 10 objects. Initially, I was going to make 4 of them be Alan and Sam's balls, but I don't want to juggle those. I want to caress them. So my list of 10 objects for my juggling contest are, in no particular order: 1. A Master Ball from Pokemon, because I think that'll get the Pokemon nerds on board with me and bring them to my side already. Next up, the Orb of Asuvox from Ready Player One. If you don't remember what that is the orb that creates the shield around the final castle, both in the movie and the book, that can only be destroyed from the inside. The movie says you have to recite incantation. The book blows it up with a bomb. So, 2 different ways. I prefer the book version of it because it kind of follows this like well laid out master plan. But yes, and number 2 is the Orb of Asuvox. Number 3 is one of the spheres from the Final Fantasy X Sphere Grid, because that's just a great way to get your abilities going and level up. Number 4, that little nitrogen ball inside of a can of Guinness, because everybody wants to know what it looks like, and nobody seems to ever just cut open the can of Guinness. I just recently did. It's a little plastic ball, nothing special. I thought it'd be like a little marvel of technology. Probably is, but again, just a little plastic ball. Number 5 is going to be the Sphere from Michael Crichton's book, The Sphere, which I actually really like. That is a great book if you want a good read. The movie, not so good. Does have Samuel L. Jackson in it though, so he's in everything. Number 6, a Dyson Sphere, and I'm not talking about the vacuum cleaner. I am talking about that hypothetical megastructure that would surround a star to capture a significant portion of its energy output. Yes, you did not limit me to strength, so I am taking probably the largest thing I possibly can, which is the Dyson Sphere at number 6. Number 7, the Las Vegas Sphere, but it'll have a jaunty animation so it can amuse the crowd as I juggle it. Number 8 would be a world from Super Mario Galaxy. Smaller than a Dyson Sphere, but still pretty large. Number 9, a Katamari Damacy Sphere. Now, if you played Katamari Damacy, you know you get the Katamari, and you roll it around and it collects stuff, making a something like sphere, which is not really sphere in shape. But don't worry, number 10 makes up for that because it'd be a sphere made of purely of the mathematical pi, which make it a absolute perfect sphere. So those are my 10 objects I'm going to be juggling. Definitely going to win the contest with this, and if I didn't, it's rigged because the judges have been paid off. Next up, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts. Love that name. What would you say are some of your proudest gaming achievements? Mine would probably be getting all 3 platinum trophies on Horizon Zero Dawn, regular game, Frozen Wilds DLC, and New Game Plus. Going through New Game Plus and Ultra Hard was a slog though, but I did it and it felt good. Congratulations on that. Always great to hear like somebody played a game, and this is like playing a game to absolute completion. When I usually say I 100% of the game, what I mean is I got all the in-game side quests and stuff done, not the trophies. I'm not a trophy hunter. So for me, I'm going to say my greatest gaming achievement that I can think of is when I beat Final Fantasy II for the Super Nintendo as a kid for the first time, because I was just like, play those platformers or those mindless games like Super Mario World and stuff like that, where very thin story, you just play it because it's quick fun, and you get that dump of dopamine there. My first time I beat the last boss in Final Fantasy IV, whose name is escaping me right now, and I know I'm going to get another comment if I try to guess it, so I am going to avoid guessing and just call it the last boss. But it was probably my fifth or sixth attempt at him, and this time I was down to one party member, and that was Kane, and he was down to his last few hit points, and I took a Hail Mary jump, and when he landed, the boss died, and I was so excited. I soaked in that ending. I sat there and my proudness of myself, and I just absorbed that ending. And that actually led me to, anytime I beat a game, I do watch the end credits now, because I find that is my reward for beating the game. So I love that feeling when you finally beat the final boss and the game calms down. You get rewarded with this beautiful animation and the credits. Nothing pisses me off more when you have a great game with a shitty ending, though. Oh, I will tell you. But currently, I'm going to call my biggest gaming achievements of the last little while is going to be every game I beat for this show that I might have otherwise not played. That includes like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Gunstar Heroes, Xenoblade Chronicles, Rocket Knight Adventures, Metroid Other M, and of course Metroid Zero Mission, which took me like by surprise about how much I enjoyed that game. I am currently playing a fan-made game called Another Metroid 2 Remake, which is done in the style of Zero Mission. It's on PC only. I don't know how easy it is to find. I got a copy from my brother. But that game is doing really well right now. Oh, excuse me. I went to watch the Blue Jays make it to the World Series last night, and I had one too many beers, and now my throat is just absolutely dry. So I apologize for the coughing and the water drinking. But thanks for the question. We're going to move on to Blue Shell Discharge. You should go see a doctor for that. Who is your favorite Retrotopia host, and why isn't it Joe C. Fettuccini? Now, Joe's new here, so definitely not going to be my favorite. But contrary to my actions of naming him Joe C. Fettuccini just because I found out he's Italian, me and him are actually friends. He has helped the show from the background a lot, and we've had him on as a guest a couple of times. But I wouldn't call him a host of Retrotopia. I like to brand him as the host of Retro Bites. It's his show as well as mine, so he's been putting a lot of work into that one. That's where his bread and butter is. We did start a little bit as a frenemies, I guess you call it. I made the mistake once of calling him a king, and he took it a little too far in my opinion. Eventually we had to have a sit down, but now I lean on him when I need help with Photoshop and graphic design and stuff like that, because he does that for a living, and he sits there and gives me advice when we talk about it. And he also helped make the background for the episode logos. So it's if you look in the bottom right corner, you're going to see his little skull icon you see in Discord. If you're ever in there, that's his little mark he made. So yeah, that's Joe in a nutshell. As for the other two, love those guys. They came around in a time when I guess I kind of needed people like them to talk about video games and stuff like that, and just have good conversations. And to this day, I think we send messages almost daily, just talking about random stuff, our own achievements and things like that. And they've turned into really good friends, and I really do hope one day to sit down face to face with them and just get to know them, without a microphone in front of our face. But in the meantime, no, I love the guys as they are. I'm going to say I like all three of them equally. It's me I hate. Self-hate is in right now. But I'm just going to ask you one thing, Mr. Blue Shell Discharge. Stop making us fight for your amusements, and I don't care how many American dollar bills you're going to stuff into my G-string. We're not going to fight. Just kidding. I want those American dollars. They're worth a lot to me. Finally, we have Unbuckled Cape. He says, Brian, since this episode is comic related, have you read any comics lately? If I remember correctly, you were wanted to get into the latest Transformers run. Yes and no. Sadly, I've had to shelve my comic book addiction because, one, I don't have time between, playing games for this show and school and life in general to sit down, and school's really causing my brain to overthink all the time. So when I do relax or I do sit down, just do something like watch TV or play a video game, I tend to be thinking about what I have to do for classes. Like even right now, I know I have a project due, and I'm trying to think of how to build a microwave in 3ds Max. So it's been in the back of my brain this entire time. So yeah, it's occupying a lot of time right now. So yeah, I've shelved my comic addiction for the meantime. Hopefully I can get back into it soon though. I have been trying to reread some of my trade paperbacks like Superman's, Batman's, and I do have the Turtles IDW run up to volume 9 on my tablet, so I've been reading it that way sparsely when I can. I've been stuck on volume 9 for about the last 6 months, so once I'm done all the Turtles IDW volumes, I'm going to switch over to Transformers IDW run. So that's the plan if I ever get to it. But for the meantime, yeah, I haven't had time, honestly, and it kills me. I just, it's one of those things I wish I didn't have to sleep so I could add those extra 8 hours to my day. So, yeah, check out Unbuckled Comics podcast. He came back from a bit of a hiatus there. Wonderful man, wonderful comic book reviewer, and he's done some interviews with some pretty big names. Yeah, alright, thanks Unbuckled. Thanks everybody for the comments. Believe it or not, this is my second crack at it because the first time I flubbed it so bad, I actually had about 5 files going on because I couldn't read anybody's comment. So I just resorted myself and boom, I nailed it. Nailed it in one take. So that's the end of the comment section. Let's move on. Let's move on to our growing in popularity game show. We call it Choose One, Lose One.
Ladies and gentlemen, roll up and choose your power-up from the game of the week. You pick a power, we pick a consequence. It's Choose One, Lose One, the game where everyone's a loser.
Alright, it is Choose One, Lose One. You know the name of the game. You choose something from the game of the week, and the host gets to give you the counter, the bad part of it. First up, we have Oven Dolly, who says, I want the power to control roadkill. That little guy could help me clean up so many small spaces around the house, and maybe I could train him to cook too, just like the rat in Ratatouille. I'd have way more time to play video games then. Well, Mr. Oven Dolly, you can now control this roadkill, but it becomes your sick obsession. You stop on the side of the road whenever you see roadkill, and you make it dance for you, and this attracts the attention of people, and you become known as a roadkill whisperer, and you actually get a TV show about it. You make millions. I mean, advertising, merchandise, royalties, all that stuff. You are just wildly successful, but this leads your life down a dark path into a drug addiction, which eventually leads you down the path of ruin. A documentary is made about your life, but it doesn't do very well, so they put it on late night TLC, the Learning Channel, if you didn't know what that meant. And of course, now you disappear from the public eye and society in general, never to be talked about or seen again. Hopefully that will teach you not to make roadkill dance. Next up, we have Hooli the Hunter, says, I want the power to go inside of comics and magazines. Sounds pretty cool. Playboy, here I come. You attempt to enter a Playboy, but you miss, and you land right in a Play Dude. Well, the comic section of a Play Dude, and you have to participate. This unlocks something inside of you, and we support your coming out, Hooli. Next up, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious says, I would like the ability to heal if I drink an iced tea can. I will no longer have to visit hospitals and can cancel my health insurance. What you said here, and this one jumped out at me. You said drink an iced tea can, not a can of iced tea, an iced tea can. So I'm jumping on that one. Now you can drink aluminum cans, but iced tea is poisonous to you, so one drop will send you to your maker. Funny enough, Arizona iced tea, for no reason at all, sends you a free case a week. Next up, we got the big deal, who says, give me a pet rat that can tear into the fabric of reality to give me health items or weapons. Your pet rat tears into the fabric of reality, destroying it by chewing the wires of fate. Thanks, my stuff was in reality. Next is Blue Shell Discharge. I want the ability to fart in a room after I defeat all my enemies by rapidly pressing down. Granted, your farts, however, will now peel paint. They are so bad, skunks avoid you. You cannot leave the room until you've taken in your fart fully. So enjoy that. Every room you're in, you have to fart. Your farts are so bad, skunks don't like them, and you gotta take it all in before you can move on to the next room. Next up, Unbuckle Cape says, I want to be able to draw well. Ha ha, you and me both, sister. Granted, you can now draw with the best of them, but unfortunately, AI exclusively steals your art and trains on it. Now nobody can tell what is your art and what is AI anymore. That is actually my hell. Finally, we got Brother Retro says, just turn my life into a comic so I can jump in and out of different pages as I please. Granted, but that comic is the Archie comics and you aren't part of the gang, so you just get to watch from the background. You're a little character drawn just off in the distance, and of course you sit on the end of a grocery checkout line magazine rack where nobody picks it up to buy. They just pick it up to thumb through real quick, always missing your panel. Thank you, everybody, for that's everything for Choose One, Lose One. I always love this. I always love coming up with these I don't know what to call them, countermeasures, the losses, I guess. Definitely a fun game for us, and we love that you guys have been participating. But let's move on, because now before Alan, Sam, and myself get into the game of the week, no, that is way too far. I forgot we have to do the gentleman's interlude first, because I screwed that up.
This is not your average video game. This is Comix Zone. Blazing onto your Sega Genesis in 1995, Comix Zone isn't just a game. It's a radical, ink-splattered plunge into a living, breathing comic book. Developed by the mind-bending crew at Sega Technical Institute, this title smashed the panels of imagination wide open. Step into the boots of Sketch Turner, rock star artist and all-round tough guy, who gets sucked into his own comic by a mega mutant villain named Mortis. Now he's gotta fight his way out, one panel at a time, before Mortis escapes into the real world. Each stage is a page, every enemy hand-drawn evil, every punch a page-turner. Tear through panels, dodge explosions, and fight your way through mutants, monsters, and mayhem with your trusty rat sidekick, Roadkill, at your side. That's right, a rat that zaps traps and sniffs out secrets. With jaw-dropping comic book-style graphics, hand-inked cutscenes, and a head-banging grunge rock soundtrack straight out of your older brother's garage band, Comix Zone is the ultimate fusion of art and action. Released in July 95 in North America, September 1st in Japan, and October 27th in Europe, this game wasn't just ahead of its time, it ripped through it like a boss fight in a back alley. So grab your controller, fire up that old CRT, and get ready to turn the page on boring games forever. Comix Zone, because real heroes draw their own destiny. Only on Sega Megasys.
Alright, thanks, Alan. I always love those. And now, before me, Alan, and Sam get into the game, nailed it the second time, we do have comments from you, the listeners. First up, Unbuckle Cape. I have attempted this many times, and I think I've only gotten to the second level once. Seeing this makes me want to try it again, though. I also really like the plot of a comic illustrator getting sucked into his own book. As the comic book guy around here, I have no doubt you do. Bully the Hunter. I love the idea of this game, but it's just too brutally hard for me. Get good, son. The big deal. Comes in with, this is such a polarizing game for me. The graphics and gameplay were so unique at the time, and nostalgia has helped us remember it as one of the greatest Genesis games of all time. However, I don't feel like it holds up. It's a short game, and if you know what you're doing, that was made artificially long by trial and error progression, and the fact that you take damage by attacking with very little opportunity to recoup health even after beating a level. For me, it's better left remembered than experienced. Raging Demon comes in with, it's a game that, this game will tear you a new one difficulty-wise. However, they did almost accomplish a unique and trailblazing game in terms of presentation and gameplay. Almost. But it just isn't there, and its difficulty curve is a deal breaker for basically anyone. Blue Shell Discharge. Would this game have had the same reception if it was spelled properly? I don't know. I can say it would properly be just as hard. I think that meant to be probably would be just as hard. Oh, I get it, because it's not spelled properly. I'm not editing that. I'm just going to reread the comment as written. Would this game have had the same reception if it was spelled properly? I don't know. I can say it would properly be just as hard. Please tell me when you guys made Sketchfart. I don't know what the Sketchfart is, but I imagine the other two did. And finally, we have Brother Retro says this game absolutely shows the power of the Genesis had back in the day. I'm still a Nintendo fanboy, but man, this game just pops on the screen. One of the best on the system. I don't disagree, but we're going to get into that right now as we're going to turn a little music up here. And thanks everyone who wrote in. It's always great to hear your thoughts. So with this little bit of music, we are going to be talking about Comix Zone, developed by Sega Technical Institute, published by Sega, released July 1995 for the Sega Mega Sys and Windows. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show. It's Comix Zone, yeah. I love the beginning of the game when it does the Sega logo and that kind of Elvis Presley type voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the track I used at the beginning of this episode, and I listened to it way too many times when I was editing just because I love how it does it. It's amazing. Anyways, like you've already figured out, we're talking Comix Zone for the Sega Genesis, the Mega Sys as we like to call it. And joining me as always is the guy who, funny pun here, Alan, and another funny story, Sam. I have nothing. Like I said in the pre-show, my voice is shot and my brain is pretty much gone as well.
Brian's
same,
cooked.
same.
So how are you guys doing? How was your fun time with Comix Zone?
Check 1 2 Sega. Yeah,
That's it.
I love Comix Zone. And I have my reasons. I also have my reasons why this game has tormented me for the past 30 years. But obviously we'll be getting into all of that. But yes, no, I am fantastic. I'm actually feeling a bit tired and a bit sassy. So this should be a good time. Looking forward to this episode.
All right, Sam, how are you doing?
I'm all right. A little less sassy, but, you know, played a good amount of Comix Zone this week. Didn't finish it because it is really fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew that going in. If we want to just go right into, like, our history, this was one that I rented as a
take
kid.
it away, Sam.
I played this as a kid and really liked it, obviously, because the graphics are gorgeous. The game itself is cool. Looks cool. It sounds cool. Everything about it was cool, except I wasn't cool enough to be any good at it. So when I was a kid, I would probably be able to, maybe if I was lucky, get through like the first couple of pages, I guess. Now I can get about, I'd say maybe halfway through it before I'm like, I'm done. But I think if I were to keep on, I think I could probably get a little further in it.
Yeah, that's the thing I found about the game is I can make it to level 2 very consistently right now, but I had to spam save states in order to get through the game because it is damn hard. Alan, what's your history?
Oh, long and arduous.
And let's skip it.
Yeah, why not? No, and before we get to that, Sam, I would just like to point out that you are in fact cool enough to beat this game because you're a Sega kid. So by definition, you are cool. Certainly cooler than the other side. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. No, this game has lived rent free in my head for the past 30 years. I remember distinctly playing this as a child, and I would play it over and over and over again because I just thought it was one of the coolest fucking things I'd ever seen. Back then, I'd be lucky if I could clear that first jump at the end of the first page. I mean, that was usually where my game ended. And, you know, as the years went on, every couple of years, I played this game again and again and again, and it just owns me every single fucking time. So, you know, and I'm gonna take a moment here to fillet myself to the nth degree because this time round I finally managed to beat this game, thus healing that particular chapter of childhood trauma forevermore, and I am still buzzing off of that achievement. 30 years in the making. Thank you and good night.
Congratulations.
All right. What an epic tale of stuff.
Yeah.
God, I can't think like 2 seconds ahead right now. My history is like pretty boring. When it came out on NSO on the Sega Genesis collection area, I just saw the box art and I was like, this looks like it could be fun. So I popped it on because I hadn't played a lot of Genesis games, being the super cool Super Nintendo kid. You guys are just cool. We're super cool. Anyways, we got Mode 7 cool. But I started it and I really, really liked it. Like, I got my ass handed to me. I didn't make it very far into it and I didn't play it for very long, but I thought it was such a neat concept going through a comic book. I don't think there's been a game that has mimicked or emulated that style of gameplay since. And I'm probably wrong on this because there probably is, and somebody's probably going to comment on it like they did last episode. And I'll accept the comment in my own stupidity, but long story short is, yeah, this game was very engaging, and this time when I went through it, of course, I kind of buckled down because I had to push through it, and like I said, I consistently made it to level 2 there, and then finally I was just like, you know, I got to start spamming these save states if I'm ever going to make it to the end of this game. Otherwise, you're going to get a review on a game that I've only played the first page of, technically.
Right.
And I made it to the final boss, but I was not able to beat the final boss. So that is as far as I made it. And I just finally said, you know what? I've seen it all. I'm good to finish it off. And I just watched the ending on YouTube.
That is like enough to have an informed opinion about this game. And for the record, I would just like to say there is absolutely no shame whatsoever in using save states on a game like this. This game is fucking hard. I mean, I played it on the original Mega Drive. Oh, it's been a long week. I played it on the original Mega Drive, and the only reason that I think I did as well as I did is that I have been playing it for 30-odd years. So I got to the point where when I'd gotten to new levels on this one, like, that is where I started to sweat, because for the most part, I know at least half of this game. Everything after that, though, that's where it started getting really tense. And, you know, I mean, it was a matter of pride, so I don't know if I would have used them, but they fucking would have come in handy.
Yeah,
had I been playing on NSO. Jesus.
I think the interesting thing about this is, like, you can have progressed a certain amount in this game, and it's not long. It's incredibly short, as a matter of fact. You know, like, us talking about it is probably going to be worth like 3 or 4 complete playthroughs of the game.
Yeah, probably. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
Right.
But there's a lot to talk about in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll save what I was going to say because it probably applies to later discussion.
Yeah. Anyways, let's let's do something to Alan that he's done to me the last 2 times he's hosted. Alan, do you want to tell us the plot of the game?
I sure do, Brian, and this is going to be a fuck of a lot easier than me attempting to get you to explain the entire history of Dragon Ball. I still have no fucking idea what I expected out of that conversation. It's just like, yeah, Brian, tell us what Dragon Ball's about. We've got all the time in the world. No, so this takes place in New York City. And Sketch, our comic book artist, is working late on his latest comic, which I believe is called Comix Zone. And through some magical flim-flam, the comic is basically hit by lightning, which allows basically his most evil creation to come to life out of the comic book and take Sketch's place, thus forcing him into his own creation, where he intends to kill him, so that he can become flesh and then rule over a fresh new world. Meanwhile, inside the comic book, Sketch meets up with Alyssa, who's a member of like the Earth Empire something or other, and they are at war with, I guess, Mortises, who's the main villain's race of mutants. So this guy falls out of the sky. He's obviously the chosen one, and he's sent on a mission to go and fight the mutants and stop their evil plans. And that's about it, really.
Hell yeah.
Good fucking setup for a game, I must say.
Yeah. And that's actually where I want to kind of start the conversation, is with the concept of going through a comic book and the way that you go from panel to panel. So you are basically stuck in a fight in a little box until you actually beat the whatever the criteria of that box is, and then you move over to, towards the edge, and it'll show you an arrow giving you 1 or 2 directions you can move. Then you jump into the next panel, and you repeat this throughout the thing, and it never gets stale.
No.
Which is what I really like about it.
No, definitely not. I mean, in essence, this game is like every bit as much a beat-em-up as something like Streets of Rage or I don't know, Turtles in Time. It just has that unique flavor to it that just, you kind of forget that it is like those other games, because what it does so uniquely that it really is its own animal. And that comic book setup, the jumping from panel to panel and using the essence of a comic book to fight, is just fucking genius.
Yeah, it's cool. It's almost like you're playing through, because it's very, like, there aren't very many ways to play this game, which I guess maybe a bit of a detraction from it, but it is very, I mean, you have paths that you can take, right? But I mean, let's be honest, there's a better path to take as you do trial and error and kind of go through this. Like, sometimes you can go left or right a panel, or down or left a panel. There'll be like little arrows that'll tell you where you can go, and you can choose, but there's very clear correct path through the game. And I think that's where it kind of plays out like an episode of a TV show, almost like a cartoon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are branching paths that you can go down. And I just love the way that, you use, like, if you have to go down instead of left or right, he just swings over the, I guess, the negative space between the panels and whatnot. I mean, I would argue that kind of any path you decide to take can be the right path, but it all depends on sort of how well you're managing things like health and item pickups and all the rest of it. It's just like with the difficulty of this game, the name of the game is to get to the end of the page with as much health as possible, because you are going to need it every step of the way. So you kind of end up finding these paths that work best for you, that you're most familiar with, and you sort of know how to deal with it.
Yeah, and there is no way to, like, cockblock yourself from getting to the end of the panel, right? It's just a matter of the more safe paths versus more enemies, right? I never got blocked. Like, I always made it to the end of the page.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, in the 30 years of playing this game, I had one of my recent playthroughs, the only glitch I've ever had playing this game. and it just stopped me from. I didn't get the arrows. I couldn't progress any further, and I thought
weird.
it was really fucking weird. I know, right? It's never happened before.
Were you pretty far along in the game, or was it pretty quick that it happened? Because I could see being almost to the end, and oh, by the way,
oh, that would drive me.
It was probably about halfway through. You remember, there's that big long panel where you fight all of the lady ninjas. The
oh yeah,
who are rather humorously called Mongolians with an R.
oh, boy.
And you beat one, you go through the next panel, you beat the next, and so on and so forth. And I just got to the end of those, and fuck all else happened. And I was quite pissed.
Are you sure you didn't? Because you have to go all the way to the left, I believe.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yes,
yeah, that. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
the
I was
way.
gonna say you probably exhausted all possibilities.
I think the game got confused because and we'll talk about roadkill, but you can use roadkill to scare the ladies off.
Is that what he does?
Oh yeah, roadkill has many abilities. We'll talk about.
Well, there's the I can't remember what her name is already. The female companion or whoever you have that will talk to you via speech bubble. She keeps saying roadkill could be useful here, and I just for whatever reason I never actually dropped roadkill to see what happened. That's cool. I gotta try that next time.
Yeah, he helps you in fights as well. I guess he has an electrified tail there, and he stuns some of the enemies, which is probably my one point of contention with this game is if you don't have a way to break the block of an enemy, you could just sit there and punch him for an hour, and he won't even be phased. I found that kind of annoying after a while there. Is I would jump kick, I would do a low leg kick, I'd punch him in the chest, and it would just block everything. And mostly it was luck that I managed to hit him without him blocking or the enemy blocking. And there was a couple of fights there. If it wasn't for the save states, I'd probably still be on them because of that.
Well, I think what you have to do, or what the game wants you to do, is mix up your combos, almost like a fighting game. If you press down or down forward or basically my tactic for fighting, and I actually got pretty decent at fighting just kind of the run-of-the-mill enemies, is I would kind of rotate my thumb around the D-pad and just continue to punch, and basically it would vary between punches and kicks, low kicks, high and low punches and stuff like that, and basically gave enough variation to where if they're blocking, I could either get low or get high on their block, and I don't know, I just that worked, I guess. But there's no real science to it, I don't think. Although if you watch a playthrough, you can see people take 0 damage.
Yeah, those people are insane. I just had no luck with it, and no matter what enemy it was, they'd always seem to be able to block me. Especially those ones that hide under the water, then they jump up and grab the pole in the sewers there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you got to jump up and kick them, and they're blocking me while I'm hanging off this pole. And I was like, is there any moment where they can't block?
Yeah, give them a good old uppercut from underneath. That tends to.
Yeah, I figured that one out.
Yeah.
You hit him in the nuts, and
hit him in the nuts.
Blocks that.
Or if you're hanging on the thing and they're on the bottom, you can actually kick down too.
That's true.
It's kind of nice.
The thing is,
I did that too.
I agree that you can sometimes get into these fights where they are blocking all that, and it does feel like a bit of a chore sometimes. But then, what you have to consider is that in other beat 'em ups of the sort, the enemies are really just kind of sponges for your punches. They don't really throw up. I'm thinking of Streets of Rage 2, where the enemies don't really block all that much. It's just a case of strength in numbers. They swarm you. Whereas a game like this, you are more or less sort of 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, and there are very few enemies in this game per se. So they had to do something to sort of ramp up that challenge. Otherwise, you'd just be walking through this. So there is, sometimes there is a little bit too much stonewalling you, but at the same time, if it wasn't there, I just think this game would be far too easy.
Yeah, that is very true, because it's not very long, so if the fights don't drag it out, this game would be 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, easy. 20, 30 minutes, 100%.
And I do appreciate that from the player's side, like you can block as well, and actually the block is quite good. You know, there's not a lot in the game that the enemies can throw at you that you can't block, even if it's like some sort of like weird fireball, or you know, they're not doing any sort of like charge up attacks that you can't block and stuff like that. If you throw up a block, you're blocking it pretty much.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I'm always too dumb in a fighting game or a beat 'em up to use the block. I just never think of it. I'm all offense and zero defense, which is probably why I've struggled so much.
No different than I am.
Yeah,
right. I should add. I was gonna say like it has a really good block. That said, I didn't use it very much.
Yeah, like I barely blocked in this game. I had two tactics: punch and yell. I would punch, get blocked, and then yell at it. And I was getting frustrated, but I was still having a really good time. Moving forward a little bit, you guys already brought up roadkill there, and this is one of the items that you can actually pick up for Sketch to use throughout the game. And roadkill's I guess he's kind of the popular one because that's your little pet rat that actually got pulled into the comic book with you, and it was hit by the bolt of lightning, so it has the electric tail. And it can shock enemies if you let them free while you're fighting. And shocking the enemies obviously breaks their block, and it's a good way to, you know, stay in shape. Get that Family Guy reference. But
Roadkill's such a good boy.
Yeah, I like Roadkill.
It's a good way to beat these enemies up. And Alan, you were saying something about him scaring the girls, or Sam, that was you? I can't remember.
That was Alan. I was like, just like all the attempts that I had at playing this game, you know, several attempts, you know, looking up stuff, and still we're kind of discovering, you know, sharing secrets and discovering new stuff. Like, this is a pretty deep game for how short it is.
Yeah.
Just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, so you can get your rat out, and like I said, especially with the ladies there, and in a stunning display of 90s sexism, all the ladies in the game are terrified of the rat and will quite literally say, "Eek, a rat," and then jump off of the comic book, and you don't actually have to fight them.
Perfect.
So that's quite interesting. To say nothing of Roadkill's amazing abilities to sniff out items when you need them most, which to my mind is even more valuable than scaring off the ladies, because you set this little bastard free, and if you know, you can set him free in any panel, and you know, if there's nothing there, he'll just walk back and forth sniffing around, and he won't do anything. But if there's something in the panel there, he will beeline for a certain part of the page, jump up, rip the page, and an item will fall out, and it's just like, oh, you are such a good boy, I love you.
He's the Elizabeth of the game.
My god, he is. Brian.
Well, the cool thing is like you can drop him and set him off to do that. Like, so let's say he rips the panel a little bit and you get like a stick of dynamite or something like that. Not only can you pick up the dynamite, you can pick Roadkill back up and use him again. Like, he's not like a one use. Yeah. That's the best thing about him, I think. One of the best things. You
cannot leave him behind. No, sir. Right. Pick him up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you never leave Roadkill behind. Some of the other items you can get is iced tea, which is something that replenishes a little bit of your health, about 2/3 of it. The other one is a superhero. Turns Sketch into a page-ripping superhero. It just kind of, I guess, powers you up for a little bit. You get a knife, which, you know, a good old-fashioned, you know, stabby knife. It can be used to turn off switches, set off explosions, or be thrown at the villains or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Get a grenade, and who doesn't love a good grenade? It's pretty much meant to be taking out those pesky air villains. You also get a bomb, which is the dynamite stick, and just blast whatever nearby. And then the last one, I think, was a question mark one, which is like free-for-all. You just get a random power-up that I've just described. Any favorites for you guys outside of Roadkill?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't the fucking... Because sometimes the question mark can also be an explosion that takes a whopping great big chunk out of your ass, especially when you least need it. Um, I mean, there are a ton of good items. I mean, the knife is kind of whatever. It's useful when you need to use it for switches and the like, which kind of comes into play at the end of the game a little bit, but it's not something that's explicitly explained to you. So you just kind of have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? I'm going to be lame, and I'm going to say the iced tea, because the amount that you need every time you see an iced tea fall out of the page or out of an enemy, it's just a godsend, because you always need it. You always need that health bump.
Yeah,
Lame answer,
Yeah.
but do you guys
Yeah,
you guys
very
like
true.
iced tea?
I do.
Yeah.
Don't drink it so much lately because all the iced teas around here have way too much sugar in it. But I do enjoy a nice cold iced tea on a hot day.
That's why the ones over here are not as good as they used to be, because everything's had the sugar taken out of it. I went to Italy not long ago and had an iced tea over there, and fuck me, it just like it gave me a buzz. It was brilliant.
Nice.
Well, doesn't the U.S. have something called sweet tea, which is basically iced tea with like 10 times the amount of sugar?
Yeah, and it's good.
I've heard.
This episode is brought to you by Sweet Tea.
Sweet tea. Oh, but my favorite item.
Yeah.
If I can't it's gotta be the health, because of the way this game is set up. But if I'm not picking the health, I think I would pick the grenade. There's a grenade that you can throw that looks kind of like a butt plug, and it's very useful because there's a couple of enemies that will sit either up high or across from you that you have to chuck a grenade at to get them clear, and otherwise they are very fucking frustrating.
Yeah, those are the ones you try to jump kick, but you miss and go down the hole and lose the game because there's no lives. You die in this game. It's over.
I think you do get one do-over, and that's it. And it doesn't really tell you that, but I did notice this last time through that when you die at least one time, it'll stick you back at the beginning of the page that you're on. No items or anything, but full health, one do-over. But that's all you get, and you can't pick up any additional.
No, you basically get, I suppose, 2 lives per, I guess, chapter, if you want to call it, because this game is broken up into 3 chapters, and each chapter is like, 2 full pages, I think? So every little chapter there, you will get an extra life, because for whatever reason, Mortis decides that even though his main aim is to have you die in the comic book, if you die in the comic book, he's like, well, no, that was too easy, have another go. And I'm just like, okay, dude, like, thanks, I guess. But
I didn't realize that it was per episode or per stage or whatever. That's pretty good, because you get one do-over. I mean, it's not generous by any stretch, but I mean, for a game that's this difficult and this short, I would say it's fine. It's not unfair.
No. And I was just trying to go on.
I guess the last thing is my favorite item here, which I was going to go with the iced tea as well, because let's be honest, everything else you can kind of muddle your way through, but that iced tea you must have. And it saved me so many times.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like Sam's use of the grenade there, because those enemies that fly just out of range there above holes, they were probably the most murderous things in that game for me, because I would try to just jump and kick and go like fly back and land on the ledge, but I'd always just straight down the fucking hole.
Are you talking about like the little bat wing little things?
Yeah, those suck.
Yeah, those are fuckers.
Well, you pretty much have to jump kick the one on the first page, and it'll just like float out and try to lure you into that hole.
Yeah.
All casual and shit.
I fucking hate the strigils that sit on top of the there's like a well in the monastery area, and he's constantly firing fireballs across the screen, and you cannot jump and hit him without getting hit. And that grenade is just like, all right, off you go, fucker. Get out of my way. Yeah, if you haven't got that with you, that could be. Although there is another way of solving that problem. Did you guys ever like make the paper aeroplane?
Yeah, but
Oh.
it takes a lot of your own health. It's a
Well,
cool
everything
like
takes a lot of your health.
right, but I mean like this one just like absolutely annihilates you. It's like you can pull this, I don't know, does it take like a full quarter of your health? Like every time I did it, I would end up in like the flashing red critical.
Mm.
And it can hit
Yeah,
you
no,
too when it comes back. It comes back and it can
it
hit you. So if you don't duck
it
and you're not
can.
prepared, you're gonna get
It's a
hurt. Yeah.
it's a Hail Mary for sure. But yeah, you just tear a strip off the comic book, make a paper airplane out of it, and throw it at an enemy. Pretty cool.
Oh. Know that. What about the press down and fart? I didn't do that one, but when I was doing the intro, somebody made mention of that in the choose one, lose one, and I have no idea what they're talking about.
You
Well,
can fart?
Yeah,
Yeah, see?
yeah.
Oh,
Basically,
okay.
you know how you make Sketch squat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just press down and he'll squat. Every so often, that'll be accompanied by a fart, completely randomly. I mean, you could just keep pressing down, 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 and eventually it will happen. But it is, as far as I'm aware,
Interesting.
just completely fucking random. He just pop one off,
Wow, no kidding.
and
Huh.
yeah,
Well, finally, a realistic portrayal of a man in a video game.
exactly.
Because we would all do that.
Exactly, and if he's standing idle as well, he just takes his boots off and gives his shoe a sniff, and it's apparently disgusting. And
Yeah, that
he
I
puts
saw.
It back on. It's just like this.
Oh, fantastic.
I feel represented right now.
Yeah, we're all disgusting creatures. Oh, God. Speaking of disgusting, how disgustingly good is the soundtrack in this game?
Oh, it fucks. It fucks.
It reminds me at times of like that kind of like blues inspired grunge that you'd hear from like an Alice in Chains. Like it's not it's not as down tuned, but it is like that sort of style.
It's funny you say that because the original game came with a bonus CD, which involves bands like Danzig, Lords of Brooklyn, Jesus and Mary Chain, which is Alice in Chain's parents, Love and Rockets, and a bunch of other bands. So, like, it actually has a very decent soundtrack here, and there's about 12 songs on the soundtrack. It's I love the music in the game, honestly. Like I said, that beginning intro where they did the Sega thing was just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good soundtrack.
Music wise, like it really does have that sort of squelchy kind of tinny rocking sound that came with the Megasys, right? And it just sets the scene so well. I mean, it is background music, but it's so damn catchy. I mean, my only gripe would be that sometimes it does fight with whatever you're sort of hearing, because the characters talk as well, which at the time I remember blowing my mind, because, you know, this game does have voice acting in it, which is fucking wild. But sometimes the effect and the music do fight each other. Very, very rarely, but it does happen. But yeah, absolute bop.
Yeah, it's what you mentioned with the tinny sound of the Genesis. Like that's kind of like it's hard to place that, or it's hard to describe it, right? Like it does have that kind of odd quality to it that it's like not, I don't think it was intentional, but it really, like, a Sega game sounds like a Sega game because of that.
Should we coin a phrase? The sploingy boingy or something, squelchy welchy. It's just,
it's something. I like I said, like, you nailed it. I don't know. I've never been able to really put my finger on it, but like if you were to play sound from a Sega game and sound from a Super Nintendo game, like, without knowing what it was, I think you might be able to tell which is which.
I think so.
Just based on some of those,
we might have to
qualities. Yeah, that'd be fun. Like a blind
challenge one day.
Yeah, blind challenge, blind
I'll go look for Super Nintendo and Genesis games that were released on both systems, and then Sam, you're going to guess which music came from which system.
There you
sounds,
are. That could
sounds
be
difficult, but sounds fun.
That could be a pseudo 5x5x5, and we've planned another episode. Hey.
Hey, there we go.
Could be, but probably won't. That's going to take a lot of work. And
That would, yeah. Plus,
that
like,
tends to fall
you gotta
on me,
you gotta pick ones that we'd never heard and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
is this Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario Brothers?
Right, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so music is great. The graphics are fantastic in this. For a 16-bit system, they nailed the comic aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like you are in a comic book, and that is just brilliant. I mean, I know it's like the namesake of the game, but they could have very easily screwed it up by overproducing the little panels with, like, trying to make it look more 3D and stuff, but they really kept it like a flat layer, and there's not a lot of twist and turn on Sketch himself, so he always looks like a comic book character as he goes through, so you're always looking at him at a 2D side view, and I love it. The color palette, everything in this game is just really like a treat for the eyes.
100%. This game absolutely pops, and I think that's what drew me to it. Back when I was a kid, because I used to love comic books as a kid. I still do now, but it was just like you said, it was like playing a comic book, and everything is just so vibrant and well animated. All the characters are very expressive and incredibly well detailed without being busy, and I think that's a hell of an achievement, because there is a lot going on in this game, and for such a short game there are a lot of different areas and backgrounds and things like that. They've managed to cram so much into this game, and the actual animation itself is very slick, very smooth. Like, the characters they flow. The fighting is very flowy. It just looks gorgeous, and I love all the speech bubbles as well. I think that was a nice touch.
Yeah,
Definitely a nice touch.
Actually, did you realize I watched a playthrough just because I figured I wasn't gonna be able to spend enough time to get good enough to get through this. There is plenty of dialogue that if you just stop and kind of like, I guess, block or just kind of try to like hold off as much as you can, there is like some speech bubble banter between Sketch and some of the enemies. Like, some of the bosses, there's some like back and forth, that I'm thinking of that first boss, which is that weird dragon that's kind of like hanging from the panel from the top. He'll be spitting fireballs at you while the panels while the speech bubbles are going back and forth, but you can block them and just kind of read the panels, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Big Mama Lizard or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Did you find the trick to beating her?
Oh, go ahead.
With the barrel on the other side?
No, but I saw it on the playthrough. I was like, no fucking kidding. Like, that's crazy.
I mean,
barrel, you say?
Yeah,
so
there's
on the
like
other side of...
Yeah.
Go
you
ahead,
describe it. Sorry. No, you describe it. I'm sorry. Because you probably figured it out.
I did. This was like back in the day as well. It's just like, if you beat on her for long enough, she'll ascend back up into the ceiling. And if you're quick enough to get to the other side, there's a barrel over there that you can start pushing over. And she starts spitting fireballs back at you, which ignites the barrel. And if you just push that underneath her, she will pretty much die straight away.
Oh, little tricks.
Yeah,
which is
it like
just
drops.
so fucking cool, right?
Yeah, the thing like drops down and just like continuously gets hit. And then like if you've got, basically you have to make it, there's no health gauge or anything, but basically it retracts and screams like 3 times. And if you can make it do it 3 times, then you win. But the first time, if you're able to get underneath it and then get that barrel over, the next 2 times it'll just, the battle like fights itself because it drops down on this hot flame and then retracts back up and repeats and then dies.
Such a clever little twist.
Yeah, right. Oh man, yeah. I wish I would have known that one, but I did figure out a way to fight the first boss. Like, that's the cool thing, is like once you kind of figure out the trick to whatever part you were stuck on, I think you could pretty consistently. Maybe you'd have to get your, brush back up on your skill a little bit. But, if I set this game down now and I'll play this game again. I mean, it's short enough. It's a cool game. I did not have a good time playing it, so I will definitely play it again. But you know, this next time around, I'll probably remember what I did and be able to get through that first couple pages pretty easily, and get down to the second boss. And you know, it only takes it only takes like 15 minutes to get there, though, not even. And so, you know, like once it's like the game. I don't even know how I'm trying to describe this. It's like, it's not like it's a save state. It's like a mental block or whatever. Like, you know, you could get to this part because you know how to, you know the steps now. And
yeah, it's repetition.
Well, yeah, it is,
Muscle
but it's
memory.
Yeah, and it's such a short game that, like, yeah, you don't need save states. It's only like 10 minutes to get to the part that you need to get to. And
ouch, very ouch. Sam.
what do you mean?
I use save states the whole way through.
Well, I mean, like, when you're playing through the first time, for sure, but like, as you, like, Brian, if you played it, if you played that first level a few times over, like, you'd get down to it. I had it down to a formula where, you know, I'd give it another run, and it's like, okay, I know where to pick up this item, and I know to save this stick of dynamite for this part and whatever, and then, you know, once you kind of get your formula set, then, you know, you're pretty well golden. That's almost like a save state in your brain.
Yeah,
brain state.
That's
a brain state.
Brain state. That's a good point, because no matter where you are when you die, and you will die, you're never really losing that much progress. So
right.
It's just like it really does lend itself to that one more try kind of gameplay loop, because you like you said, you know, in like 10 minutes you'll be back to where you were, and just battering your head against that same fucking fingernail clad wall that had me stuck for 30 fucking years. I hate Kung Fung so fucking much. That guy
he's a dick.
He's a bitch, and beating him this time, honestly, I'm still rocking the chubby. Like, it just it did it for me. And that was it. It was a mental block, because I knew that this game had been kicking my ass for so long. I knew that when I got to that boss, I was gonna die. It's just like, no, just fucking keep trying. It's not, don't turn the game off. You're only going to need like 10-15 minutes to get back to where you were, and try again.
Right.
But
how did you end up beating him? Because like the playthrough that I watched, it, like, if you just time the jumps over the little shits that he's throwing, and then he comes down from kind of the center of the screen, and the playthrough I was watching, the guy was able to just like jump kick him real quick, and it was just like repeated jump kicks. When I thought I was doing the same thing, but apparently not good enough. What did you do? Because I know you can slam him back into the wall with his little knife fingernails.
Well, that's right, yeah, because he shoots his fingernails across the room, and they stick into the wall of the opposite side. And if you can kick him into his own fingernails, they'll explode and do quite a bit of damage. The problem with this fight is that you do 9 times out of 10 get down there having lost the vast majority of your health. So the first thing was just taking the path of least resistance and getting the most health that you can have. There is a way to get one of the fists as well en route. So I would basically open the fight up with that. I dodged the fireballs, and then when he came down onto the screen proper, I'd unleash one of those fists. I'd give him the fist. I'd give him a good fisting. And that basically shortened the fight pretty exponentially. And then, yeah, just a case of like dodging the fingernails and kicking him into the wall. And fucker went down. And good times.
Well, I guess I'll have to just try again. It's just a repetition thing. Like, I think the quickest way to get to him is to figure out, like you said, a way to bash him against the wall against his own fingernails. I think that's the quickest way to get him to kind of like react. Like, each boss seems to have an animation or reaction when they're hurt, and if you can get him to do that 3 times, then that'll finish him off. But otherwise, you can continue to slowly chip away at them and eventually beat them.
Yeah. And the same for Mortis at the end. You know, there's a trick to him as well. And
yeah,
I mean, I would argue that's the easiest fight out of all of them, because he's all over the fucking screen, but all you've got to do is get him underneath one of the jets on that nuke, and flip the switch, and that will damage him for you. And
Yeah, I saw that. It was just like all you have to do is kind of like, because he does disappear, but he tends to follow you a little bit. So if you get down to the bottom and then make him warp down to the bottom, and then if you can get up and get to that switch, that was like that was what was hurting him. I was like, oh crap, I could see getting into a loop where you're just trying to fight him one on one and just
you don't even see the switch.
I think you run out of time, right? Because the God, I don't know why I keep forgetting her name. The
Alyssa.
Yeah. She's like trapped in a thing that's filling up with water.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't beat him in time, like if you want to just try to square off against him and not use the trick, like you're going to have a hard time with it.
Well, the thing is, the fight doesn't end. If that time runs out, you can still beat him, and this game ends up having 2 different endings. So if you're quick enough to beat Mortis and then quick enough to get to the switch next to Alyssa, you can free her, and then you get the quote unquote good ending. If the water level, because she's trapped inside the nuke and the fuel is rising inside of it.
Right.
If you're not quick enough to get to her, but you can still beat Mortis, you get the bad ending.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
It is, but a neat touch.
It is,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
That's kind of a sad ending, though. Like she died.
Yeah, but it's a kind of a creative ending there. It gives consequence to actually getting better at the game. Plus,
Yeah.
if you beat the game and she dies, you have a reason to go back and play again, right?
Exactly.
There's a brilliance behind it. One of the things I've noticed about this game when I was playing through it, and it relates back to graphics, is how they use like the Batman, the whack pow and all that kind of stuff. When you're fighting enemies, it actually appears above their heads in that comic book style. And then other parts is like you can actually break through the panels, like the white negative space, as Alan called it, will have like cracks or folds in it, and you can actually bust through it. And it extends the panel a little bit further. And there's a lot of little things in this game that's just really neat, and that's why I think I'm kind of falling in love with this game, is because of these just little touches they did to the story to really make you immerse yourself in the comic book.
Absolutely.
Like some of the enemies are drawn in.
Yeah.
A big hand comes out, draws the enemy in. That was the chef's kiss right there. I like that one.
That's
I actually.
it.
And then in the end, like you can see where, like, when you're fighting Mortis by the nuke, like that part like fades into like a sketch. It goes from like a clearly inked and colored section, and then on the same panel it looks unfinished. Like you caught up to where he was, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be easy for a game like this, the comic book thing to be like just written off as a gimmick, but it's used so well, and this game never lets you forget that you're in a comic book, because it's using that setting so perfectly and so cleverly that it's always there. I mean, it's Comix Zone, yeah, no shit, because that's exactly where I am.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm surprised this idea never carried forward. I'm surprised there's not like Comix Zone 2. A game has been re-released on different consoles like the Game Boy Advance, but God, like, can you imagine what you could do today with this side-scrolling beat-em-up with today's engines and graphics?
My God. Like, give it to the guys who did Streets of Rage 4 or something like that.
Yeah, make it look... Give it that paper texture, make it look exactly like a comic book. God, I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Oh man, 100%. I mean the 16-bit graphics are beautiful, but like you said, imagine like with modern graphics what you could do if you could make something that, like, think about like a Paper Mario-fied version of this where everything looks like paper. Yeah.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. All right, boys. You ready to wrap up? I think we've kind of kicked this pig to death.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I would have done, but it was blocking the whole way, so what can I do?
Right, yeah.
Right. All right, Sam, I'm gonna let you go first there, wrap it up and give your score, and then Alan, you can go, then we'll finish off with me.
All right.
Like it.
Well, I'm glad that
circle jerk.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm glad that we came around to playing this because I've been kind of dreading it for a while because I know that like as a kid and even like the couple of times I've goofed around with it as an adult, you know, it's like, oh yeah, this is a cool looking game, but I've never only gotten to like page 1 or whatever. Um, but you know, I think I took a little bit more time to appreciate, you know, how much depth there is to this game that's very short. Um, you know, like I said, the little touches like uh, if you're able to block or just kind of pause on a panel, you'll see dialogue, you know, and there's something new to discover each time. Like take the time to drop roadkill in a panel if you're stuck. If you're stuck in a panel and you're like, shit, I have to like punch through a wall, which we didn't mention that like um if you punch inanimate objects to try to get them out of the way, you end up hurting yourself. So you have to either
Oh yeah.
make that sacrifice or figure out a way around it, which, you know, there's a couple panels where there's some tricks to getting past it. One of those being dropping roadkill and he'll find you a stick of dynamite. Like there's on I think page 2 or the beginning of page 3, there's like a heavy metal door and there's a stick of dynamite hidden right in the panel if you don't have one. So there's that kind of stuff that, like, you know, repetitive playthroughs of this pretty short game will lead to like a lot of different discoveries as you go along, whether it's, you know, the additional stuff, the story, or, you know, just finding a different item somewhere that's going to help you in a way that'll help you get a little bit further than you got before, I think is a really neat touch. So yeah, I mean, if I were just going off of my my nostalgic ties to this game, I probably would be like, yeah, that was like a 6. I mean, I couldn't get very far and it was really hard. But playing it now, it's like this is just a perfectly balanced and crafted game, as difficult as it is. It's concise. It's really well designed from end to end. It is well designed. You know, like everything seems kind of intentional with it. There is a solution to every problem. You just have to find it. It looks good. It sounds good. The story's cool and the story's unique. I'm gonna give this like a 9.5 out of 10. I think the only detraction I would give it is that, I mean, I can't beat it, but that's not the game's fault. That's my fault, and I almost wish there was more of it, and there just isn't. It's about as near perfect as you can.
Okay.
Like, it's perfectly balanced, right? I mean, it's very difficult, but it's just perfectly crafted that way.
I was expecting a high score, but I wasn't expecting a 9.5. You caught me off guard with that one.
It's one of the best
Alan.
games on the Sega.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly.
Can't argue that at all.
Well
Alan,
said.
it's your turn. Are you gonna beat Sam up, or are you going to bring him down?
I'm gonna block
Oh,
forever.
that's fuck all I can do now. And I'm going to set my rat on you, so fuck you. This game is literally the whole package. I mean, it looks stunning. It plays silky smooth. It has a little bit of everything crammed in there. The music is fantastic. I mean, it is notorious for its difficulty, and that is well earned. But again, it is such a short game that I feel like that adds, again, the depth that Sam was talking about. I almost wonder if the fact that the everything and the kitchen sink approach that they took to this game is maybe why the game is as short as it is. You know, perhaps because there's only so much space on these cartridges, and boy, did they pack every fucking inch of this cartridge with just awesomeness. I love the aesthetic in general. I mean, the comic book setting, for one, we've discussed, is just absolutely brilliant and so well used and so well realized. But I also like that sort of edgy and cool and sometimes gross out aesthetic that was so prevalent in the 90s. You know, a game like this just takes me back to that era where everything had to be rad and cool and, you know, sometimes a little bit gross, and it's just a wonderful slice of my young life. Which, you know, again takes me back to the fact that, you know, this is a game that I've been playing ever since I was a kid, and I'm so beyond proud that it is now 30-1. rather than 30-0.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wear that as a badge of achievement for the rest of my days, and I will fucking play this game again now that I know I've got its number. I don't know. It's a tough little bitch of a game where everything is designed to hurt you, everything is designed to kill you, and you're just going to have a fucking blast playing it. I am going to agree with Sam because I can't go lower. I was thinking around about that 9 mark, but I'm not going to be outdone. I won't be outdone. The only reason I'm not going to give it the full 10 is because I think there is a missed opportunity with this game, and that is the flirting with Sketch's superhero alter ego. I wish we'd have seen more of that. I wish that had come to play somewhere in the game more than just the little flashes that you get. I feel like they were building to something there, and it never really came to fruition.
Yeah, there's an item where you can turn into that superhero like for a second, and it just kind of is like a clear all.
Sure, and it is cool, but it is a tease. Maybe just the last part of the boss battle or something. I don't know.
Yep.
I
like
don't know how to realize that, but
Yeah,
that
9.5. Good.
I thought that's what that meter.
Like 10 seconds.
I thought that meter was like building to something. Like as you're completing the game, every page you beat, you get like a percentage that builds on this like superhero scale. And it's like I thought when you reach the top of that, for sure you're going to be able to play as like a superhero.
You'd think.
But whatever.
I agree.
It's fine.
But yeah, absolutely. Comix Zone, I fucking love you.
All right, so that's a 9.5 from Sam, and not to be outdone, it's a 9.51 from Alan. I guess I'll wrap it up. I don't have the history with Sega you guys do, so I played this for the first time when Nintendo, took the guts of its enemy and shoved it on its system there. I played it simply because I liked the graphic of the box art, and I am going to say that I don't like hard games. I have said that often. I don't like games like Souls-like and all that. Something about this game works that makes me want to play it again, and I don't know what it is. Like, the blocking is annoying, but you're not getting hurt while you're being blocked. It's just annoying. You just got to try another move or something, and that's doable. It's just get good, son, and that's all I have to do. I love the graphics. I love the music, the aesthetics. You guys have already mentioned all that stuff, so I'm not going to repeat it, but it is all absolutely amazing. I really wish this concept of being in a comic book was carried on, like in Comix Zone 2 or a whole franchise of Comix Zone games, because it is very unique. And like I said earlier, I can't think of a game that uses a comic book as its mode of delivering a story. And I don't know, I'm not going to give it a 9.5. I'm not going to go that high because I don't have the nostalgia bump. I'm going to give it just a solid 9 because there is stuff that, it does annoy me when I am being blocked for half an hour. The difficulty level is very high, and I do get frustrated sometimes, so I do end up yelling at the TV, which then scares my dog, and it loses a point because my dog's scared. So,
that's
I'm going to give it a solid 9. This game is, again, this is another Sega game that's really making me come around to the Sega Genesis.
There you go. Soon you will be ours.
No, I won't. I still like the Super Nintendo better. The tinny music on the Sega Genesis just doesn't work for me.
Oh my God.
If I wanted to listen to somebody singing a tin can, I would just go downstairs and shove one in my wife's face. That sounded worse than I meant it to be. Start beating her with a can of beans. Don't sing. I can't. There's beans in the can.
Right. Brian's had a meltdown.
Yeah, no, I'm fading fast here.
You okay,
All right.
Brian? Do you smell toast?
No, I smell popcorn. My kid made popcorn and he burnt it.
Oh, of course.
Oh.
Now there's that burnt popcorn smell all through the house, and I hate that
you
smell.
little stinker.
Never good.
Yeah. If I had a rat, I'd send it downstairs to go.
Go electrocute him.
All right, so that does it for another episode of Retrotopia. I've been Brian. I don't have anything left to say. Alan, Sam, do you guys have an outro for us this week?
Sam, you got anything?
Sega. No, I don't really have anything.
Hi there everyone! We here at Retrotopia couldn't do what we do without the support of our Patreons. And to that effect, we would like to shout out our heroes at the hero tier. So a huge Retrotopia thank you from all of the hosts here to Andrew Wright, Wildcard, Unbuckled Cape, Makeshift Money, Sergeant Ombre, Randy Berridge, BCOS19, J Nasty 15, Chris Kaplane, Jack Datchler, Sir Busts-A-Lot, Big Kid 782, Super Dave, Big Brown Dog, Studstill Smash, Fallen Snow Kiku, Radmac, Calin Hygus, Old Man Gamer, Raging Demon, Radioactive Hooli, Blue Shell Discharge, The Big Deal, Dylan Jacobson, Game Genius, H, Brother Retro, JVDZ, Shane's World, Ovindley, Zane Donovan, Brian Spritzer. So thanks as always for your support, guys. It truly means the world to us and means we can keep doing this little thing that we love so much. Game on.